Kinsey Schofield here with Ted Rowlands, Court TV superstar, and we want to talk to you today about the recent break-in at Windsor Castle. This is very much in our sphere, right, Ted? We talk about things like this all the time on Court TV.
Yeah, this is crime. And it's also more interestingly, like the criminal mind is so difficult to get your head around because if I'm going to go steal a pickup truck and a some sort of bike, I don't know that I'm going to a royal's castle. There would probably be easier places to steal these items from, but I think it comes back to that mind. It's like, boom, look what we did.
Right.
And it's scary. It's scary because as much as we talk about them, and famous people are people, and they have kids, and it had to have been very frightening when they got word of what happened.
Absolutely. All right. So let's kind of briefly discuss what happened. It was around 11:45 p.m. on Sunday, October the 13th, when police received a report of a burglary at a property on Crown Estate land near. This is it's about 5 minutes from Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, on the Windsor estate. So it's not necessarily in that core castle where actually, did you know people actually live in there? Did you know that?
No, no,
When you're touring it, they try to, scoot your butt out at a certain time so that people can have like an element of normalcy. Now, the queen sometimes lived there, but there are other relatives that live in different parts of the castles, and then employees that live in that little sanctuary too. So it wasn't in that little sanctuary area, but it is on the big estate in like this farmhouse where this took place. But it was still 5 minutes from Catherine and Prince William, who were at home with the children. The children were in bed at the time because they had school the next day. Officers say they entered a farm building and made off with a black Isuzu pickup and a red quad bike. And they haven't caught these people. No arrests have been made. I think that obviously, if they stole two things, I believe that's two individuals that they're looking for. Maybe I'm just assuming, but pretty scary stuff when you think about the heir to the throne and his children that are also in the line of succession. That they were in the midst of something kind of, I mean, it's pretty chaotic.
Yeah, when you say 5 minutes away, like drive how far? Because the way I envision them being in this cottage on the grounds. So are they? Is it all on the other side of a wall or?
Is it all on the other side of the wall? I mean, no, no, actually, to me, what makes Windsor's my favorite castle of all of them, and I thought it would be Kensington Palace, but it's not. Kensington Palace is like in the city, and it's almost like the city almost makes it not as magical because like across the street, there's like, you could get like a kebab, like, you know what I mean? But where in Windsor,
Everybody loves a kebab.
that's true. But at Windsor, it's country. It's like countryside. So you have to take a train to get there. It feels very Harry Potter because as you're on this train, you see this castle getting bigger and bigger. And there are teeny tiny little pubs right outside the castle, and there are guards, but the presence is so not intimidating that you feel like you could just walk up to the castle. I mean, I would never, but and then when you're taking the tour, you are literally like a children's soccer field away from where the queen was living and staying at some, during some portions of her life. Like if you had the audacity and you weren't afraid of getting tackled, you could just walk right across that grass. So I've always felt like Windsor was such an intimate place, and they seemed so much more accessible at Windsor, which is why that's my favorite castle. And like I said, when you're one of the last ones there, I made sure I wanted to pee in the castle. Like that was my objective. I wanted to be able to say I peed in Windsor Castle. So I was one of the last people to leave because I was like, yeah, I need to use the restroom. Um, and they stick with you because there are people that live comfortably in that little castle area, and they want to make sure that they scooch everybody out. But it was so just intimate and quiet and beautiful, and I mean, it's a lot of land, and I mean, the likelihood is, I'm sure that you have to go through some barriers that they created to protect the Wales family. But the reality is you can access them probably easier than you definitely easier than you would have at Kensington Palace there, which also has tours. It's so wild that they have tours in these places where these people also live.
Well, I mean, it's the people pay for it, so I think that's the right way to do. But it's a mix. Is how do you now protect and also sort of serve the people and
Right.
allow them to come in to a home that they should feel some ownership of? And that's the question: is what
Yeah.
is there enough being done to protect? Because we're seeing celebrities being targeted, and it's not because I don't think I think it's because they're celebrities and there's a thrill, an added thrill that let's face it, a lot of burglars have
Right.
anyway. They can amp it up if I'm going to go now into a celebrity's home rather than someone else's.
Well, that's kind of what makes me feel like they're going to get caught, because how do you steal from Windsor Castle and not brag about that at the local pub? You know what I mean? Like that's why I wonder if
Right.
they will get caught. Wait, really quickly, I want to mention, and you had a great example too. It was just recently that a 21-year-old man was sentenced to 9 years in jail because he was arrested on Christmas Day of 2021 on the grounds of Windsor again. Um, I want to be careful how I say this because it almost feels like sacrilege. It almost feels treasonous to say it out loud, but he wanted to end the queen's life, and he said so. Like that was his objective.
Yeah, I have
Uh,
like a crossbow with them.
Yes, and so they said that he like scaled the wall with a nylon. Oh wait, it was a nylon rope ladder before he was detained, wearing black clothes and a sinister metal mask. And he told them, "This is what my objective was." First of all, 9 years for trying to do that. My first reaction was, that's not enough. I mean, that to me, that like attempting to kill someone and getting caught is the best case scenario. Why wouldn't we treat them the same way as if they actually successfully got, did the job?
You've been living in the U.S. too long, Kinsey. We
I
have the
know.
most draconian system where you do one throw them away for life. We don't
I
we don't value criminals as human beings for some odd reason. I like the rest of the world has, aside from maybe China and some other countries where they'll shoot you right away. But I I think we're too harsh because we don't allow for rehabilitation. Now,
oh,
9 years might be a little light, but I think everybody should have a chance, depending on their crime, to have some sort of chance to be rehabilitated and try again.
sweet, sweet, gentle Ted Rollo. Now talk to me about what you were saying about the Queen and Buckingham Palace too. I forgot to put that on our list. What
Michael
an
Fagan. I mean, this was
yes.
the legend. They're sitting around with his boys in a pub and basically said, "I'll watch this. I'll get into Buckingham Palace," and he did on two separate occasions. First time he got in and was able to get out, and then the second time he ends up in the Queen's bedroom and she's sitting there with her mask on. Now he had some mental disabilities. He only served a couple of years, I believe. If what I read is true, the Queen actually wrote him a letter when or two while he was incarcerated. But again, it's that allure of the celebrity that people are become obsessed with. I mean,
Right.
you talk about international, like look at Taylor Swift. How many people wake up every day and think about Taylor Swift? Now, thankfully, most of them are middle school girls, but for the fanatic, the person that is willing to put their life that has troubles on the line, these are major targets, and it's scary.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things I first thought of when we just started kicking back the idea of how many celebrities now are really, I mean, to me, I feel like there was the rise in celebrity break-ins over here in Los Angeles recently because our DA was cray cray. I mean, we gave him the boot.
Yes, going.
Yeah, we gave him the boot, so I think it might improve. But it initially reminded me of the Bling Ring, which Sofia Coppola made a very fun movie about it. Probably not the best thing to do, make a fun movie about a bunch of kids robbing Paris Hilton's house. Sofia Coppola, an incredible filmmaker, but they were stealing stealing from celebrities. And just like you said, they were motivated by celebrity worship. And, it was a group of kids that would chase celebrities around. They wanted to be pictured at the same nightclubs that these people were pictured at. They had before selfies were a thing, they had their digital cameras and were trying to snap pictures with some of these personalities. They knew what celebrities they wanted to dress like, and then they watched them on social media to determine if Paris Hilton posted, "Hey, I'm heading to Dubai to open a nightclub." They knew they loved the way Paris dressed, because they saw her out, and Paris was always on a carpet. They'd study their social media. They broke into Paris's house multiple times and would play. They played with her animals. They would just spend all night there playing in all of the fun little rooms she had set up for her parties. It is a lot about this fixation with this person. And it's almost as if social media has been a negative and a positive, because for celebrities, it's a great way to control your brand. It's a great way to communicate with people without having to involve the wicked press. So I'm going to talk directly to you so I don't have to sit down with this person that was so two-faced and was ugly about me last week on whatever entertainment show this is. But at the same time, now people feel like they're so attached to these individuals. They know them in a way that they truly do not. And they don't see I don't, what word am I looking for? The disconnect. They don't see that
Yeah.
it's not
No,
appropriate.
they literally are they're obsessed to the point where they want to get closer. And in the back of their mind, they're kind of thinking, if that celebrity really knew me, they'd want to hang out with me because I'm pretty cool. And next thing you know, they're all dressed in black in Patrick Mahomes' house because he's playing a game. Uh,
Yes.
and they know that because they know the schedule of the NFL. And we saw it with a basketball player, Middleton from the Milwaukee Bucks last week. Kelsey was, it's a, it's interesting because you don't like, I know the Royals don't want this overpowering show of force, yet that balance has to be there. And it seems with these repeated successful attempts at break-ins that maybe they need to turn it up a little bit in
Well,
terms of security.
I think that that's a good point, because one of the commentators that spoke to Fox News about it said allegedly armed guards had previously been removed from specifically Windsor Castle because they were viewed as unpleasant for the tourists and the public to see. And you're right. I mean, they're right. That is ugly. But I also would expect that as a tourist. Like I said, when I was at Windsor, I could not believe how close I was to the Queen. I could not believe that if I stood there long enough, I could see her roll up in a Range Rover. I was shocked by that as an American tourist. So do you think that they should reconsider some of that? Do you think that they should be more aggressive? And really quickly, because it just occurred to me, this a story that's been trending recently is the king cutting off Prince Andrew's security, which almost cost $4 million a year. That is pretty disappointing to know that security can cost up to $4 million a year, and there are still moments of where there's a lapse in security enough to where an entire vehicle is able to leave the premises.
Yeah, so I think that your experience there is valuable. That what they have now is something to hold on to on many levels. And if the security can be upped a little bit with technology or something that isn't as intrusive, I think in the US it's a little much. And then around the world, the different spots where you got people with the big guns and it it's
Ted,
not
you're killing me. You're so precious, but you're killing me. I cannot believe Ted Rowlands is telling me we're too aggressive when it comes to crime and that we are too big brother when it comes to security. I don't even know you. Who are you?
here's what I'm saying. The US is different and the UK should not strive to be like we have guns everywhere. They do not.
Mm.
We're different than the rest of the world. You can't walk down the street in the US and feel comfortable that the person that's walking towards you isn't armed with a gun. There are people at your workplace, at my workplace right now in the state of Georgia, where anybody can have a gun. They're carrying guns, and
Yeah.
who I don't know, but I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Mm,
We have a problem with that. And the way we have to combat it is with more guns, unfortunately.
yeah.
So that's where I'm coming.
That's a very good point. I see your point. I've just been caught off guard twice now. Wasn't expecting it. Maybe I need another Red Bull today. What about upgrading the technology? Like my initial thought was, do we need like ring door cams so Prince William can just chime in and be like, please return that's Suzuki or whatever, whatever it is that they hold off with. Isn't
Be
it
a good
weird?
start. Yeah,
Yeah,
what are they going to do with that vehicle too? So wherever they've it's on somebody's back, 40 blocked away at a bar. Like,
yeah.
what did they just do it for fun? Or did this start with maybe an inside job where like a former worker is like, they keep the keys in all the cars. Really? We should go steal it. Maybe that's it. And they were just dumb enough to take on the Royals. I don't know. I can't wait to find out who did it, why did it.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope we actually get that information. Yeah. I remember too when I was at the Tower of London, I think you're not even allowed to take pictures of some of the I mean, most of the jewelry. You're not even allowed to take photographs. So it's weird how, I mean, obviously it's jewelry versus, a farm vehicle, but it is interesting how some is
But right
so
there, yeah,
extreme. And then
right for possessions and people come and go. The jewels. Oh.
yeah, exactly. I did want to mention here because a lot has been made out of the fact that Prince William and Catherine were safe. Thankfully, we're so grateful that they were safe. But there are interesting statistics when it comes to burglaries. Really, it says in the US, about 7% of all burglaries involve a violent crime. This is according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. Approximately 28% of burglaries occur when someone is home. And in these cases, violence or threats of violence are more likely. Now, this is because they say the burglar is likely surprised by the resident. So perhaps they don't know that they're going to be home and they're caught off guard. Uh, there are people that do intend harm or are just that heartless and callous, they say, but also drugs or alcohol. And I thought that was a really good point. Somebody might, be there might be on something and that might lead to violence as well. But for the most part, they said typically somebody's just trying to slide in, grab, get out. It's not, they are not typically looking to hurt you. And so
But it's an
again,
inherently very dangerous scenario because of what you
yes,
just said. It sounds great. I just was there I was just going to steal. Well, guess what? Things go wrong in that environment. It can explode in an instant.
that's true.
Fagan was drunk apparently when he went in. He was around with his boys and drinking Guinness. And apparently, the footman that came to the Queen's aid gave him a bit of alcohol to settle him down until the bobbies showed up. And
Wow. That's an
as
interesting
you read that stuff
solution.
on the internet, I don't know if it's all true, but
No, I mean, you know what? It doesn't matter. It's coming from you, so it is. Hey, let's talk about some of the other celebrity burglaries in 2024. I forgot that Tom Hanks and I mean, I already forgot. It only happened in August. Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson immediately, this is a joke. I'll clarify this is a joke, but immediately my thoughts went to, are you sure it's not Chet? Are you sure it's not the, the wild one, the wild Hank's son? But thieves broke into the guest house of the couple's property in broad daylight and they smashed through the windows and triggered the security system, still gained access to the property. Thankfully, they weren't home at the time. Who has the audacity to break into a Wayne's brothers house like that? That to me says like I'm in for a world of hurt. And Keenan Ivory was home. It was Marlon's house. This happened in July of 2024. Keenan Ivory was just thankfully unconscious, but he was actually home. And you just mentioned Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes. Talk to me a little bit about that. That's like one of the wild. I mean, that is some real audacity there. Could this be also? This is a maybe a dumb question because I do think it was more than likely money motivated because both of them are they kind of flaunt. I mean, especially Travis Kelsey. They're kind of showboats. But with
right. And
Travis and
apparently the thieves found 20 grand in cash. I mean, who has 20 grand in cash
oh my god,
in their house?
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I get you want to have some money in case of some sort of crazy emergency, but 20 G's, and that's why there is an attraction. He's going to be out of town. He's playing an away game. So let's hit his house. Who knows what we'll find? If I go hit my neighbor's house, I'm probably going to find 20 cans of tuna and
Yeah.
no cash, and it's a big waste of time, and I might get shot. So
Yeah.
if I'm going to risk my life, let's go for someone where we know we're going to find something.
Yeah, you're right. I have 20 bags of dog TREATs. I can't say it
Oh,
or they'll
don't
get
say that
excited.
word.
And now we can't eat them because we have no teeth. Now little what am I going to do with all these hard TREATs, Ted? I get,
You have,
life is
thankfully, you have a bunch of dogs.
that's
So
true. That's true. Do you think that anybody with Patrick and Travis specifically, could it be motivated by people just hating the Chiefs? Could it be motivated by somebody just being like, you know what?
no,
I am
I think
ticked off.
it's the allure of a celebrity, and also knowing that there might be something very valuable at the end of it, and knowing they're out of town.
Yeah.
I I can't believe that I'm a huge Bills fan. I'm going to go take the Chiefs. Let's target the Chiefs.
Yeah. All right. Okay. That makes sense.
If it is, I'd love to hear that story.
Now, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell actually were hit a couple of times. I felt bad about this because I love Goldie and Russell. They're so sweet. Within 4 months, their Los Angeles property was broken into twice. She said that the burglars broke in through the balcony and into her bedroom and closets. So they immediately hit the good spots. If they got her into her closet, imagine Goldie Hawn's closet. She is so glam, so beautiful, and she's had an entire life is probably in that closet, a life that has seen how many red carpets and beautiful glitzy events. I mean, I bet that they hit the jackpot, those jerks.
Yeah. But again, thank God they weren't home. You can think someone's not home, and then boom, they are home. And what's Goldie Hawn going to do when two people are in her closet?
What do
So
you do with those things though, Ted? What can you do with that stuff? You can't go sell it, or can you? I mean, what truly can
if
you do
it's so,
besides?
then that comes back to what's the motivation? Is this an ultra fan that just wants to smell it and hang out with it and hold her stuff? Or is it someone looking for valuable? If it's Goldie Hawn's closet, I think it's probably uh, that person who's obsessed with her and wants to be around her possessions, where Travis Kelce is looking for the 20 G's.
Oh yeah, yeah, jackpot indeed. Really quickly before I let you go, I'll try to explain this as well as I can. But Samantha Markle is Meghan Markle's half sister. They are DNA siblings. They share the same father, but not the same mother. And Samantha is suing Meghan for libel over comments Meghan made during the couple's Netflix series Harry and Meghan, which premiered in December of 2022. Meghan says things like Samantha's not she alludes to the fact that Samantha's not a good mother. She says she grew up a single child, but she paints Samantha in a really negative picture. And the initial judge threw out some other mentions, Oprah Winfrey's mention, because the judge said, well, that is her feeling. Like she didn't say that as fact. She just felt like she grew up as a single child. And in Finding Freedom, though we have proof that Meghan and Harry collaborated with the authors of Finding Freedom, the judge said it wasn't coming out of Meghan Markle's mouth directly. So I'm not going to allow Finding Freedom to come into this defamation lawsuit. But in the Netflix series, Meghan is negative towards her sister, Samantha, and Samantha says it's cost me jobs, it's cost me credibility, and I'm being harassed by your fans over it. She lost the case at federal court in Florida, but has gone to the Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit, hoping to breathe new life into this lawsuit. Do you think that it's a possibility for her? I know I'm not getting into too many specifics, so it's okay to be like, oh, at first, just initially no. And then B, having watched the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial play out, do you sometimes look at cases like this and feel like maybe it's not about the money, maybe it's just about clearing your name in the eye of public opinion?
Yeah, I think her chances of winning this are very low, just because it's already been kicked by lower courts, and shopping it up usually is more difficult. And I'm sure the motivation was multi-tiered, maybe money was involved, but more so a fight back. When she watched that, I'm sure she was livid, and the way, I don't know what her relationship with her dad is, but the way that Megan's also portrayed her father, she might have some real deep-seated hatred, which apparently they both have for each other. And sadly, these types of battles fill up the U.S. courts all the time. And
Wow.
at the end of it, do we is either one of the is this really the venue for your family issues? Um, we'll see. But
Yeah, I know. It seems like there's always something with Megan, though. Like, do you get along with anybody? You don't get along with your husband's family. You don't get along with your own family. Megan, maybe it's time to look in the mirror. You don't have to comment. I can say all the negative stuff, but some of us are saying, do you get along with anybody, Meghan Markle, except for Oprah Winfrey? And she gives free cars to people, so we understand why that friendship's there. Okay. Ted is silent. All right. Well, Ted, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. What an interesting conversation. I appreciate your expertise.
as always.
If you agree with us, disagree with us, let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Thanks so much for watching.